Figured it out. Sorry for the delay. My Mac decided to update everything. Unfortunately, the settings that I use for my camera, the application, failed to load because it's not compatible with my new version of Mac. So now I'm on my laptop in front of you guys. See what we got. Hi. Hey. Hi. Ryan. Yo. What up? Good to see it's working. Awesome, Eric. Me too. I almost thought that I had to walk away from this live stream, but then I thought I can always just use my phone. This isn't my phone, it's my laptop. So much love, right? Thank you. Some big things are coming. Some bigger things are coming. Good morning from New Zealand. Good morning. About law of attraction, that's a good one. Let's check something real quick. See if I have the go ahead to tell you guys something. I need to find out something specific first just to make sure. Do you know of the dates that we are going? Oh, I'm moving out. That's one thing. Next month, I'll be out of the house on the 1st, and I should be in California. Nomad. So I gander at these questions here, these topics of interest that you guys are putting forward. I'm going to go through them and I'm going to pick out some ones and I'm going to freestyle a little bit. That is some strong tea. Can you please explain quantum jumping a simple way, please? I can. I can now, yes. So quantum jumping deals with the quantum field of possibilities. And the quantum field of possibilities deals with the universe's ability to materialize probable realities for your instance, or for your sake. The universe behind the scenes is like a giant mind. It tends to think in a particular way. And in the same way that you can create a picture and then create another one, it's completely different out of nothingness. Well, if you imagine where you want to be in the future, you can actually pull this quantum field of sorts into some shape and form, usually the desired reality that you want. And then, because it's behind the seams of this physical reality, the seams get pulled together. And if you do the right things, you can end up experiencing the quantum reality that you want, or in other words, the reality that you want that has been influenced by the quantum field. We're all connected by the quantum, or to the quantum field. And this is solely determined on how we're operating our consciousness, where you're operating from as a person. Oh, hey, Cole. I'm going to get to that in a second. Thanks for the donation. I was going to make a video on this. I really didn't want to. Essentially, your expectation of your future will create your reality. And it's because you're putting thought and energy into the idea of what's going to come. And so that tends to pull from the quantum field a very familiar reality, especially because nowadays we tend to take the past and throw it forward into the future. For example, you expect of yourself a specific reality in the future because you're used to being you. You know yourself, right? Yeah, you know yourself. And so you take this idea of yourself, a story, and you throw it forward. Problem with that is you only ever attract within the quantum field a reality that you already are familiar with. It's something kind of boring, something very familiar. And so what ends up happening is you do like this looping effect where you throw from the past into the future and you attract the same experience. The main key with quantum jumping is the ability to detach from the stories that you tell yourself. These are identities. You learn this on plant medicines and like ayahuasca. You can also learn it through dream time. I learned it from dreaming first. I discovered that there was a space between this reality and the next where I completely became blank. And I had no stories, no attachments to who I thought I was. And because of that, I ended up being able to download a different idea of myself, which then played a part in the role or the storyline that I entered into within my dream time. And then I started playing with that for quite a while. This is when I was in Costa Rica. And I started hovering in that amnesia state. Problem with that is I used to wake up and I couldn't recognize my partner. I would wake up and she just didn't. I didn't even know she was like. I didn't know what she. I didn't know what she was. I didn't know where I was. I didn't know nothing because even the idea of a room didn't seem real. Because in my mind, I had no concept of a room because I got rid of my stories. I got rid of everything that made sense to me in this reality that was grounding me to a sense of registering my environment and the people around me, including registering who or what I was. No sense of being human or anything, or even alien, nothing like that. No idea of even contemplating things of that nature being somewhat other. I was nothing, like at all. And but I was able to see through my eyes in this state of nothing at all. And so I would play with that for a little while, and then that kind of coincides with something I used to do a long time ago before I got onto YouTube. I used to alter my personality quite a bit by getting rid of my old stories because I noticed that who I used to be wasn't working for me at all. I wasn't behaving right. I had a lot of problems, and my idea of the world was pretty limiting, and so I became a limited person. And so I remember sitting there trying to record my first video, and I couldn't look at the camera, and I was like, "This is stupid. Like, there's no way I'm going to be able to be where I need to be as I am right now." But I had some issues with this because, of course, it means I have to become someone else, and there's this whole thing around authenticity. But the reality is I became who I was back then because I copied people. I mean, we do it when we're kids. We copy our parents. We copy our brothers, our sisters, our teachers, whoever's around us, our people in our immediate environment. From since we're born to the ages of 8, we mimic them. And so, what's authentic at the end of the day? And so, I had to change my idea of what authenticity was. Then I realized when I looked around at people, and I also looked at myself growing up, that authenticity is actually. I'm gonna have to scroll all the way back up to these donations so I can catch you guys' messages. So I'll get to them in a sec. I realized that authenticity is your ability to express what you find is comfortable as an individual. A lot of people love to express themselves a particular way, but they're too embarrassed or too ashamed of them expressing themselves in this way. When you express yourself in a certain way, you're sharing a piece of your history to someone else. You're saying, "Hey, I learned how to express myself like this. This is really fun. Let's enjoy this part of me," you know, uh, with all of us in the room. So that's school, basically, in the beginning of school. But it doesn't really work out that way. Another example of that is, like people go into groups, like cliques in schools, and they speak differently. And so we'll pick up on the lingo, and we're like, "Ah, this is cool. This is fun." And you start sharing it with other people in the group. Like you start speaking like them, and you're expecting a specific reaction, which is, "This is also fun." Like, yeah, I get it. What you're saying is fun. I also say that, hey, now you're a part of the group. It's a sense of validation, not out of any type of neediness, but more out of the sense of this is entertaining. You're playing with expression and reality and the nature of social dynamics. And we do that growing up, but then we get afraid of expressing what we love. And so the thing is you can't attach yourself to an expression because you're not the sum total of your expressions at all. Your expressions are nothing more than memory. They're learned patterns of behaviors, movements, and vocal tones, which you have picked up off of other people in order to engage in some type of interact. Yeah. And so the thing is, you do that for a long enough period of time, it becomes your personality, because after 3 weeks, it starts to become a habit, speaking a certain way, acting a certain way. After, I think, a month, it becomes a mood. So it really becomes your state of being a little bit more. After a year, it's a personality trait now, And when it comes to being authentic, if authenticity is you being original, then the best thing you can do is just to be by yourself without saying anything for a while. Yogis would do that. They would go into a cave and just be by themselves, because even the very mention of your name can shift you into a state of being that has a storyline. Max has a storyline. Ryan has a storyline. Every time someone says my name, it's like subconsciously triggering me into a state of being. And so when it comes to quantum jumping, you have to lose your story. You can get there through having ego deaths on plant medicines. You can get there through meditations. Again, that's what I did before I did plant medicine, so it's very much possible. Matter of fact, when you do things off plant medicines, it has more of a permanent effect for a longer period of time because your vibration is slower. And so the information that you code into your body when it comes to how you're thinking becomes much more grounded into your body. That way you can condition your body much quicker. That probably went over some of your heads. Some of you who've done psychedelics probably know what I'm talking about. Some of you who've done personal development also know what I'm talking about, because personal development is the ability to condition your mind and your body into a specific state of being. And anyone who's done that knows that it lasts quite a while. Conditioning lasts months and even years. And sometimes a very quick experience that has a lot of powerful emotion behind it can have you shift into a specific character or bring on a specific personality trait that becomes kind of permanent, like tics or some type of Tourette's or some type of word that you might say. The cool thing of psychedelics is you get a lot of emotion, especially behind ayahuasca. So sometimes you can get an experience that actually changes your personality pretty quickly for a long period of time. I've done, I don't know how many ceremonies I've done with San Pedro and ayahuasca in total. San Pedro has the ability to do it too, so does DMT, and I've just lost count. But out of everything that I've done, the only time I've experienced some type of personality shift that's been permanent without conditioning is my addiction to tomato sauce. Disappeared. I made a video on that when I went to Rhythmia. And yeah, so it just, I didn't want it anymore, and it disappeared. It came out of my personality, and I ended up experiencing a lifestyle without having experiences where I have pasta with tomato sauce and stuff like that. Not unless someone else is making it, but even then I still probably wouldn't touch it, and I make a point to say, put pasta to the side without tomatoes. Which is weird, because I had a lot of tomatoes in the pasta. And so what I'm saying is, you gotta change your character, because your sense of character essentially is the story that you tell yourself. It's being birthed out of the story that you tell yourself. When you tell yourself that you're slow, or you tell yourself that you're lazy, or you're telling yourself you're not the type of person who likes cold showers or who likes to clean up and do the dishes, you're repeating constantly who you are, a story. You're identifying with yourself and the rest of the world who you are. And so you're going to act out of your imagination, out of the story. If you give yourself a different storyline, if you can imagine something inside quantum field when you do quantum jumping, if you can imagine yourself being somewhat different, then what ends up happening is, even if you don't believe in it, your mind can't tell the difference between who you are and that storyline. Sometimes we wake up out of a dream, right? Maybe maybe you had a dream where your partner, girlfriend, boyfriend was seeing someone else or doing something, and then you get up and you look at your partner and you like you hate your partner. This doesn't often happen. You hear a lot of comedians talking about this on YouTube. What's happened there is that storyline has come from that person's inner reality to his or her external reality, to the effect of actually changing the storyline that she or he has told herself for a while, which is, my boyfriend or girlfriend is isn't going to cheat on me. Like, that's my partner, like, we were secure last night, but the story gets in the way, and so stories can overlap between different realities. So you got to watch out when you wake up, especially if you have weird dreams like that, just to get up and get on board with what's actually happening within this reality, so that you don't stare daggers at your girlfriend or boyfriend's head. And so yeah, quantum jumping is literally you getting into the field of your imagination, getting past your own stories and getting past what you think is possible for you. There are quite a few techniques to do this because a lot of people are blocking themselves. Holy crap, thank you guys for the donations. I'm gonna get to those in a sec after this one little point. What I like to do is, I'll save that for a video, but I'll try another way to word it. What I like to do is, if you can't imagine yourself being a particular type of way, change your race, change your gender, change what country you come from or was born in, change where you live, same thing. And then you might be able to see yourself doing something that's a little beyond your own imagination, and just do that every morning and every night. And you'll be sending a signal to your subconscious mind, which already knows how to do everything. It knows how to make you anyone, to bring up specific thoughts. So your personality starts to change. You'll start to make different decisions. And you'll start to fall in line with that idea of what you want to fall into when it comes to a reality. Okay, that's pretty long-winded, but I'm pretty passionate about that type of stuff. Let's keep going. Cole Garcia, hey Cole. You're at SoQuest. Oh, let me see if I got something. If I do videos on this in the future, please don't be mad. I tend to repeat myself because on live streams, I data dump a bunch of stuff that I've been doing before I get a chance to put into videos. And then I make videos, people are like, you made that already, give me something new. But there's something new in this video. There's always something new. I'm saving a story for quantum jumping. It's something quite important. Oh yeah. You guys coming to this one? Oh shoot, there's only 18 spots left. Okay. So I'm gonna be doing ayahuasca in Peru. And this starts on the 12th of January. You guys got ages to come. 12th of January. We start off in the Amazon, taking plant medicine. And then we head to Machu Picchu, okay? It's for 2 weeks. And when you sign up to say that you're going, whenever you do this, make sure you mention my name. I think there's going to be something, some type of deal there. I'm not too sure yet. Something's going to happen there, though. So, yeah. Just mention I referred you. I'll send a link from my phone to this chat. Can I do that? Can I put links in the chat? I put it in the description below. And yeah. Let's see what happens. Thank you. It was pretty cool. The last place I went to was Soul Quest Church of Ayahuasca. They call it a church because churches are allowed to give out sacrament, and so to make ayahuasca legal, you can register under the name of a church so that you can give a sacrament away legally. And so yeah, cool. Okay, Cole says, "Hey brother, have you projected into the pyramids yet?" No, but I did San Pedro last night, and apparently the pyramids don't exist. I don't know why this came in like it did, but when you take specific psychedelics, you see different truths from different perspectives. I think all the perspectives are real on some level. Because to some beings, it's like, yeah, nothing's real on Earth. Everything's just energy. Like, what? But then to some 3D beings, everyone's like, oh, everything's definitely real. See, everything's solid. But really, everything's energy, which is comprised of thought from wherever, ethers, quantum field, dark matter. Remember, some people used to think it was dark matter. And so that every perspective is true to the observer, predicated upon where they're standing. And when I was on San Pedro, I was standing in a very weird position. At one point, I tried to dematerialize from my bedroom upstairs to my couch, and it got really weird because it was like I was ejected out of my body, and I saw my skin on my head peel away, like just crumble away. And I could see my skull and my organs, and everything was falling apart at the seams. And then it got to a weird point where I felt like I was downstairs physically, like I was materializing myself downstairs. But then something really weird happened. Remember, perspective where you're standing. My room started to go warpy. Like it started to. You ever put your hand in gel, just or a whole bunch of custard, and the custard just kind of goes gloopy? Well, the room started going gloopy, and it was like there was nothing behind it. And I got this knowing that the room was never even there in the first place, and downstairs was never even downstairs in the first place. Matter of fact, I was always just in a dark space, and the reality had to change along with what I thought was happening, which was dematerialization, in order for me to be in another location. So it got really weird. But I didn't astral project to the pyramids yet, but again, San Pedro. And the San Pedro story was from where I was standing on San Pedro, which was pyramids aren't real in the sense that they are a physical-ish, putting it into 3D terminology, from these being standpoints. They understand that humans think that things are physical, so they say from a physical standpoint that there is a distraction to get people thinking, and they're empty, apparently. Like energy, like I thought aren't they energy things that shoot energy up into the sky to spaceships? But they're like, no. And the crazy thing is remember, every perspective is true based on where you're standing. Is these beings might have thought that, but whoever built the pyramids and probably tried to make them to cultivate energy, the grids on the earth, they honestly probably believe that that's what they were doing. But from these other beings, they're like, nah, we just probably implanted that story into your head to keep you busy for a while. And so it's like, it's weird. Things get weird when you take psychedelics. Is there an anime in the astral realm? Yeah, there's Bleach and there's Noragami. Noragami is very cool. Noragami? I think it's Noragami. Eric Ross says, are you planning on going to Soul Quest in 2020? I'm making plans to go, but I would love to meet you there. I've been watching you for years and you've helped me a lot. I just want to give you a hug. A lot of people gave us hugs. Everyone gave a lot of hugs in Soul Quest. Next year, some things are happening next year. And I'm not sure if I probably will, but I can't say for now. I have a feeling that I'm going to be going to places where those who have got some type of rapport with me, those who have got some type of, who have had some type of arrangement with me in the past, like a media trade where I'm shooting a documentary on ayahuasca at specific retreats. I have a feeling I'm going to connect to them again. Soul Quest is one of them. So I might be there. I don't know. I'm not sure. Eric. But thanks for the donation. You're awesome. Moose Soup. $10. I like very much. Hi. I believe I have a spirit hanging out in my home. He seems... Oh, more. Cool. He seems to have a crush on me and dislikes my boyfriend. Oh, shiitake mushrooms. What should we do? P.S. I'm also a psychic. Yeah, that's not a good... Your husband, he needs to gain some abilities pretty quick. You don't want a spirit. Nuh-uh. Okay, what you can do is you can make this spirit known. But you can just reject it. If you're a psychic, you should have abilities which puts you in touch with this spirit, right? So you can reject it in hopes that that works. Otherwise, you can ignore it. Ignoring spirits really tick them off because it doesn't give them any energy anymore. Then they'll leave. They have to leave. Or you can leave your windows open, all the blinds open in the house, all the curtains, all the doors. Do not close the door, even your drawers in your wardrobe. Leave your wardrobe door open. Everything. And fold your bed. Like open your bed and actually fold it up at the end of the bed and move the pillows and everything. Clean everything in the house. Do the dishes. Organize everything. And then leave the house for about a week. That'll do it. Because what ends up happening is the sunlight comes in and it purifies the room. The air comes in and it purifies the room. No one's there to generate any attention, to generate energy. Because when you generate an energy in a space, when you think a lot in a space, things can feel that and they can become attracted to you. Yeah, that would be my best guess. Nature is very good at cleansing spaces. Blazra. Oh, thanks for the donation. You didn't have a comment to it, though. I'm just scrolling up so I can see more of you guys' questions, those who have donated, because I want to make sure I get you in there, too. Why is it not letting me scroll all the way up? Because I'm pretty sure Tasha wasn't the last one to donate. Let me see if I can find a way to see more of your questions. There's no way I want to miss anything. We might be here for a while. Oh, there's me. Why can't I scroll all the way up the chat? Can you guys scroll all the way up the chat? I need to find some super chat questions, but I can't see them. If you can find them, the last one I mentioned was the one where the couple had an issue with the ghost. Find them if you can. You might be able to see them. They're highlighted in colors. Copy and paste them and put them in the chat again, if you will. Tasha says, keep it up. Donation $5, thanks. Law of Revision and Neville Goddard. I guess you're suggesting a book. How many planes of reality are there in total? This is not a super chat question. I need to get some of those ones in there too. Don't want to leave you guys out. I have no idea. I don't think anyone knows. More than you can count, than none at the same time. But there is this one way I described it one time on the video. It's really clever. One sec. Okay. Piece of paper. No, it's not. Imagine this as how am I going to do this? It's so long ago since I did this. Existence, all of reality. Just got a vision of me doing this on Instagram last. This is all of reality. Okay. And you're like on one of the pieces over here, which is one dimension of reality. Okay. When you come over here through all your decisions and choices and you hit that line, that's called a plane. You see, a plane isn't actually another thing, like another, like normally people split up dimensional planes as layers, like layers of paper, but it's not. It's actually just one piece of sheet of existence. And whatever that looks like, I don't know. It might be flat. It might not be. I don't think I can comprehend what it would be like in this state of mind. But what I do know is when you hit a line, that's called a plane. And then you end up in this point of space over here, which is a different frequency because the information in this space is a little different, And so what you got is you got the fabric of reality. That sounds cooler. And then you got all these planes going on, which are just folds in space. I was going to say space-time. But it only becomes space-time when the observer moves from here to there, because then they end up developing a sense of time. You can always just fold the fabric of space and end up in one location to the next. Essentially, it's like me saying that my room upstairs is another dimension because it exists in a different point of space. And the planes would be my staircase or the door itself. Yeah. And so when it comes to your question as to how many there are, I don't know. How many points of space are there? I can say there's just one. That would be correct. Just one with a lot of creases. Okay, Adriano, thanks for the donation. Ryan, how do I develop and practice telepathy? That is a loaded question. That's like a whole hour right there. That's like a whole session. Not many people ask for that session, which is weird. It is a service on my website, but like no one asks for it. Even after I pulled a thought out of someone's head on Vice. That was cool. I thought more people would be interested in it. How do you develop it? Can I take some shortcuts though? Something fast, so I'm not long-winded and miss out on questions. You can people watch in the beginning. You can try to get a sense for their emotional state. If they're angry, how's your body reacting? If they're upset, how's your body reacting? And that'll make you more sensitive to people's emotional body. The emotions are essentially the subconscious mind. Even your mind is emotional. You just don't realize it because you can't recognize it at the speed that it's processing. It's going from emotional intent to collapsed thoughts so fast that you're just perceiving it as words in your head. But if you slow down the words in your head, I mentioned this in my shadow integration course, which helps you because you have to learn this so that you can get into your subconscious mind and speak the lingo. If you speak words in your head and you slow down the volume and you just turn it down, you realize you're still actually saying the word, but you're not hearing it. Instead, you're feeling the word. You're feeling the emotional intent behind the word. You're feeling some form of emotional stimuli before it's collapsed into a thought form that sounds like logical mental thought. And so we are all actually emotional beings because we're all energy in motion, emotion, and we operate subconsciously in the body. A large part of our operational system is used for creating the body and dictating our habits and our character. And so when you learn how to feel other people's emotions, more importantly, you learn how to decode your own emotions inside your body and interpret how you're feeling, you're able to get a better sense as to what someone else is thinking, because it's all emotional first. And if you're able to, if you're able to, that's going to go over people's heads. You need to be able, like, when you, okay, let's make it simple. You step close to someone, right? In a line, in like a queue. You feel their energy going to you, feel their emotions. You might feel like, I feel kind of angry, or you'll have a corresponding emotion to it, which is fight or flight. You feel like you want to hit the person or somehow control the situation really quickly, move away really quickly, or get in front of the person, or flight, which would be move away really quickly. You don't want to go anywhere near that person. So you have corresponding emotions that come up in your body. Then you have their energy, which comes into your field and brings up the corresponding emotion. And so, or the right emotion. And so, I say corresponding, I should say complementing. You have energies that complement other people's energies. Usually it's predetermined on your past, your traumatic states, like because you carry our traumas in our body. And so say someone comes up to you that reminds you of someone that beat the crap out of you in school, your corresponding energy might be to fly away rather than fight. And so you got to get used to feeling that energy come in, and then you say the words, what does this energy feel like? Or if this energy had to be word form, what would it be? And then you wait. It should shoot up into your head and collapse into words in the same way that your energy in your mind, emotional energy, collapses into words. That takes a little time to figure out because your thoughts run really fast. They think quickly. So you got to pay attention to when that happens after you ask that command to your subconscious mind. Dasher Jones. $10. What do you think about drugs for depression? Could anyone ever possibly need this, or can quantum jumping fix the issue? Can drugs for depression be beneficial? I think I know quantum jumping can fix the issue. If you can imagine yourself in a reality where those problems never happen, what ends up happening is your mind starts to believe it. And what tends to happen as a result is you start to build new neural pathways in the brain, which have you experience the feeling of safety or happiness more often than depressing thoughts. Because every time you're depressed, depression is nothing more than somebody who's falling into a trap of their own mind. They're constantly thinking about negative thoughts, which creates a pattern. It might be like a negative story. It might be an argument that they're playing out in their head. And so it creates these little moments within their mind's eye, which is stressing them out a little bit more. And then that creates energy within their body. And the more they do that, it creates more neuroplasticity in the brain. So the neurons are created and they move around in order to facilitate this depressing mentality. But if you shift it up a little bit, if you use quantum jumping to imagine yourself in a situation where those things never happened, or a life where you never had traumas, you create new bridges that make you feel like you're safe again. And the old ones actually break down. It takes a while, but they do break down. And so you can't go back to an old train of thought so easily because the wiring isn't there anymore. This happens if you try to learn a new language, then all of a sudden you stop. It takes about 3 weeks for everything you've just built to just dismantle. Definitely can. I think drugs can fix it too. But when I say drugs, I mean more of the psychedelic kind, especially in my experience, MDMA. Hey Ryan, can I reincarnate into the anime world? I don't think so, but hey, what do I know? It's a lot about things that, I mean, maybe I could, like, at this point in my life, I could say yes, and I probably would be right. Like, things are so weird. I keep seeing 222 Ryan Cropper. Can you help? And please say my name, Ryan. Butman. 222 means family. Your parents will support you in something that you're making a decision, and if you have siblings, the youngest one will be on your side. That's yours. That should be your situation. What do I think about Anunnaki? What do I think about Anunnaki? I like the story of the Anunnaki. How we were supposed to be built to be a slave race, to mine gold so that they can use it to make Oramus and mana, which is basically just getting Oramus and putting it into bread to increase the lifespan, because Oramus increases the conductivity of the cells, which increases your ability to communicate to your body, which gives you super access to your subconscious mind. I have some in my kitchen. I need to get rid of it. I got way too much. I think I'm going to bathe in it. I've been wanting to, but it melts metal. If you put it in your body, it'll melt any heavy metals really fast on contact. And my sink is, like, the drain is metal, and it's new. I don't want to ruin it. But I like the story. I don't believe in the story, because I heard of another story where that was just a story to make us feel like we're slaves, so that we entrap ourselves into a slave mentality. In one of my last live streams, I mentioned how two different types of people, black people and white people, took a test without knowing that the other person was white or the other person was black, and they scored evenly. They were then told to take another test, and they were told that, well, the black people were told that they had a history, black people had a history of being more dumber than white people, and that these white people were quite smart. What ended up happening was the black people underperformed. Okay, so it's all a state of mind. Whatever story you tell yourself will become your reality, and if you tell yourself you're a slave race, you're going to start acting like a slave. And so, apparently, the whole idea of us being created to mine gold for aliens is just a lie. I like that story better. I'm going to choose that one. Oh, thanks. I'm going to read that anyway. It's quite nice. Awesome. Thanks for the donation. $4.99 says, apologies. I thought, what a big ego this guy has. I realized what a big heart this guy has. Thanks for being so genuine. Oh, thanks, man. That's awesome. Should we do like a numerology live stream? Should we do that? That's easy for me. Let's zip in information. Let's do a numerology one. I can do that for a while. So this live stream will be titled something like Quantum Jumping and Numerology. But first I go through some more of these super chat questions. Cole says, that's wild, bro. I'm literally about to do San Pedro very soon. Wink. Also, check back on my Instagram message about your course. I wonder which one it is. Drum roll, please. 2% battery. Will I get there soon? Okay, cool. Cool. Why am I saying it here? Let's say it here and on here. Cool. Good to know. I'll be looking forward to seeing you soon. Boom. There we go. Can we travel to another dimension that has demi-human? I believe so. I believe that quite a bit, actually. Matter of fact, what surprised me if we live in a dimension already with demi-humans. Demi is like mixed between a god, right? Some type of alien blood or celestial being making... What's with all these emojis? Ryan, I remember Ryan from the last live stream. Hey. What are your thoughts on tarot cards and astrology, zodiac signs, numerology, life path numbers, etc.? Okay. I'm going to say this with some bass in my voice. I get tired of hearing... No, basically, they are good. but they are not perfect. Okay, what I mean by that is they are good at predicting how you're generally going to turn out, predicated upon the energies that you kind of came into when you were born and the energies that are being thrown your way. Okay? And the energies that you're expressing. But again, they're a prediction. They are not your story. They might have been your story when you were unconscious, but they're not your story. You're supposed to master your life path number, your astrological sign, everything, even the bad qualities. This is why people go into it in the first place. They want to know a little bit about themselves so they can do self-development. Mastery is quite simple. You change your habits. If you have a bad habit and it's showing up in your chart, your natal chart, then change your habits, recondition yourself, get out of that energy, or channel it in a different way. There are always a positive. There's from my experience, there's always a positive side to a negative part of astrology when it comes to a reading. It's usually just a matter of perspective that has people deal with that energy in a particular way. And so remember, it's a chart that reads your energies, but it's not your story. It's not how you're dealing with the energies. Ryan's lazy is a story, depending on how I'm dealing with that energy. But if I just change the story, which is Ryan's relaxed, no mention of being lazy, then I end up embodying that energy in a different way. I take more time out for myself, and I have baths, and I relax, and I drink tea infusions. Then I get to work. And so the reason why, it used to upset me, hearing people so, gung-ho about astrology. And it's because they would listen to these stories that they're being told, and they would take it so literally. And then they would shift into the expectation which they need to beat, essentially. And so it's like you're taking a huge leap forward because you're learning all this data. But then you're taking a huge step backwards because you're agreeing with the data. You're agreeing it as a personality. And it's not your personality. It's just how you're operating, under specific conditions. Change how you operate under these conditions. You've mastered it. Numerology is never let me down. That's a real thing. Everything. Even the writing in these messages are a thing. Even the shape of where everything is a tarot card. Everything has meaning. Everything. If you're really open to it, you can read your environment and understand your life. You can read your house and understand a lot about you, where you live. You can read the people around you, and then you understand a lot about your decision making. Houses can tell a lot about a person. You don't really need a tarot deck. And so, just from the outside looking in, creepy. I'm so wavy 22. Just a donation. Thanks, Goku. It's the Ultra Instinct. Cool. Yeah. Lindsay. Thanks again for the donation. Thanks, you guys are awesome. I've had a few dreams that take place in a white surround. Lecture halls. I can't do that. Heard they might be mystery school related. Can people go to these in dreams? Yes. Okay, so this is a cool thing when it comes to mystery schools in dreams. Your subconscious mind is a freaking genius, okay? Let's say you want to be a better person. Let's say you even have doubt or guilt. Let's say you have guilt over making bad decisions in your life. Let's say you also judge yourself because you're kind of not so clean on the inside. You got some poo emoji personality traits, and you want to do better. You want to be better, right? So, that's just a part of your mind. That's just how you think. And you go to sleep. You don't have to do that as a practice. You don't have to make that intention and go to sleep. I'm going to get into other mystery schools soon. I just want to go from your train of thought first, and then entity mystery schools where you're being taught how to levitate and stuff like that. You go to sleep, Your subconscious mind knows exactly what scenario to place you in to have you become the worst part of yourself, and it will run a simulation. It will put you in a test to test you, to see if you'll make that same mistake twice. And it will make it hard for you too. You'll get rid of some of your good personalities. You made the mistake last time and you had good personalities. It's taken away from you in your dream state because your mind doesn't like, it wants you to grow. And if it can make you grow in your worst hour, you're going to be pretty brilliant when you wake up. And this is all happening in your subconscious mind. Okay. Remember earlier I said that when you wake up and your story changes with your partner because it leaks into this reality. But when you work with your mind, your story changes. You know, when you have your subconscious mind play out a scenario for you the second time around and you make the right decisions, that instills in you that you are a good person and you'll wake up feeling like a good person. And if you have multiple dreams like that, it just constantly reinstalls that belief. And so in a sense, that's kind of a mystery school. You know, it's very, very important. It happens all the time. It happens even if you don't want it to happen. And it's important not to judge yourself in those situations because the reality is you're not actually that bad. It's just your dreams make your ego inflamed. It makes that part of your character inflamed. And so that's like the worst that can happen if you choose not to listen to yourself. But the reality is, in this reality, a lot of people listen to themselves. So the odds of those things actually happening in this reality are very unlikely unless you're very much broken. You need to have a lot of your goodness stripped out of you. Now, when it comes to mystery schools, when it comes to other dimensional planes of existences, there's a particular one which is a void space where there are etheric beings that can help you out. You can get there through the sleep paralysis state if you're into astral projection. If you go into your body first with your consciousness, if you lay there and put your mind in your body, and then you make the intention to project inward instead of outward, you end up in other dimensional planes because your body actually has portals. There are quite a few ways to leave your body. You can just slip out of it. You can also turn to an orb and shoot out the spine and out the head, which is pretty cool. And then this other way, going internal, is a very good one. There you'll most likely meet beings that deal with energy. That's how I learned how to read people's minds and to channel energy. I don't deliberately do that nowadays because it's a bit much. But they showed me exactly how to do it, and they made me watch them as they kind of waddled along, starfish bodies, and they had TVs in their belly. And they started thinking, and the TVs would generate thoughts, and it would shoot up in their head and come out of their mind. And it would go over into the buddy's head, and then the buddy would receive it and compute it. And I could feel how they were computing it. Because I could feel what they were doing to compute, my body started computing in the same way. Certain things you start firing off in ways that they don't normally fire off. And that's a form of memory. I remembered what that felt like. And so I just did a few experiments once I came out of the projection and recreated it. So that's a cool way of doing it. You know, project inward for those of you who avidly astral project. If you can't, there's a whole playlist on my YouTube channel, a whole bunch of stories to tell you how to do it. Okay. Those trigger methods. If you want to master it, then there's a huge course on my website. Okay. For those of you who don't know what it is, I know I've mentioned it already. I've mentioned my website already. I just haven't talked about the address. It's ryancropper.com. Awesome, right? My own name. So yeah, then there are other mystery schools. Oh my gosh. Okay, so these ones you normally tap into if you're like super spiritual. If you can ascend your mindset in the astral plane, which then takes you to a new reality. Some people call this the first, second, and third dimension because it's backwards. The seventh is supposed to be the lowest dimension. And so, wait, first, second, and third dimension? Wait, then that means 3D is, well, that makes sense because 3D is technically a learning dimension. So, I said that out loud, huh? So, in those dimensions, you have deities that actually teach you things. They will literally teach you things. And in those dimensions, it's not necessarily you reading a book, although that can happen from time to time. It's more so through experience. So because you're all one, you can become Jesus Christ and get a sense as to how he thinks and how he activates abilities. And that triggers memory in your body, or at least it installs a new sense of how to do something, which creates memory. and then you can just repeat it on repeat constantly every day to the point where you get the same effect. Well, loads of beings do that. They take you through their experiences of how to do certain things, or how to perceive and understand certain things, because to understand specific laws of reality, you have to be shaped differently in here. Like your mind needs to be connected differently. Certain things need to be shut down, certain things need to connect over here. And so some beings out there are automatically connected differently. And so when you become them or get a sense for their way of thinking, their wave of thought, that becomes your wave of thought. That starts to install a sense of, now you know how to do it. And then that becomes internal memory. You just go do the same thing every day until eventually you can do it on purpose. Then there is this source consciousness. There's literally becoming the source of everything, which there's no point in learning at that point because you don't need to learn. You know everything, which takes a lot out of everything. Like it takes a lot of fun out of things. But source consciousness thinks it's source consciousness sometimes, depending on what form of source consciousness you've tuned into. I look at it like raindrops on a window shield. Imagine if each raindrop wasn't aware of the other one, and each raindrop thought that it was it, like it was source consciousness. Kind of like how humans thought long ago that we were the only species in the universe. Like we're it. This is it. There's nothing outside of there. Source consciousness can be like that sometimes. Not all of it. Some of it knows that there are other aspects of itself elsewhere, experiencing their own versions of reality. And when you go over there, I've experienced some of those in astral projection. Your mind breaks. Everything that this source deals with, we're familiar with. Spirituality, gurus, ascension, high and low frequencies, color, dematerialization, astral projection, different abilities, even the other layers of spirituality, which say that reality isn't real or that it's a projection. Then you got people in 3D that say reality is real based on where you're standing. And then you got people who say astral projection isn't real once they take a certain amount of psychedelics, because they realize that everything is just a projection of your mind anyway. And so it's like, really, you're a god experiencing just another form of reality that you're projecting and you're experiencing. But people misunderstand that sometimes. They think that people in 3D are creating out their imagination, and so it's not real. That's not what's meant there at all. So sometimes I stay away from speaking about that aspect of astral projection, because you need quite an elevated awareness to understand what's being said there. That's all our sense of 3D. You see people at Burning Man, ayahuasca ceremonies, the majority of ayahuasca ceremonies, I think. That doesn't sound right, to sound honest. But you see some people at ayahuasca ceremonies that are in this form of our sense of whoa, what the hell just happened there? My mind just got wiped. That was weird. That was like someone just moved all the furniture out of my brain. What's that? This is going to sound weird, but what's that big thing that everyone connects to? Source. There we go. Source consciousness. That was a close one. So, source consciousness. Don't you dare. It's doing it again. Everyone has a sense of source consciousness. And that all deals with sacred geometry too, because that's a part of our idea of source consciousness. That's what we tune into. When you get outside of our source consciousness and you enter into another aspect of source consciousness that thinks it's separate from everyone, or even one that knows that it's not separate, it's completely different. Like, that doesn't even come close to describing it. Things just don't make sense, but they make sense to that bubble, that source. Alien doesn't even come close to describing it. It's just weird. It's not even weird. Like, nothing you can say in this reality describes that one. And that's, I think, the way that it's supposed to be, because we're not in that reality. But you can get there. I've been there 3 times. One time I was bored with astral projection and I was kicking leaves in the dirt in the forest. And this being cracked open a tear in time and space and came through and pulled me through, took me up into space. where I saw a bunch of probable realities projected in the sky, crossing over at the seams like some type of projection, like I'm watching a bunch of TVs, you know. And we flew through those cracks of time and space, and we got to his home planet. And he said, "Hey, I'm going to show you something new. I know you're bored." And he took me along this walkway, and we walked through a wormhole. Well, basically, it was like a cylinder. It had a pathway, and the cylinder was created out of other dimensions. And the beings would look at me, and they would come through, and they would walk with me to the end. And he says, "This is the edge of our universe, and over there is something else." Then he pushed me, and I came close, and I lost my mind. Like I wasn't even there yet, and I lost it. And I just looked at this thing like a can of worms, just multicolored. But to it wasn't multicolored because that's not how it learned to describe its own experience. Then I just came back and I came to, and I was like, geez, we're like really small. Like, what we think we know. Even those who have taken a whole bunch of psychedelics and have only gotten to the DMT state, no. And that's really big too. No. Yeah. Can you imagine what you would learn if you went over there? Can you imagine what would happen to you? I don't know what type of person you'll be when you come back. Would you be a person? Right. Let's read some more of these comments. Do a flip. I can do a flip. Not gonna. There's no room in here. Do 2 flips. I did that once, kind of. Do 1.5. Didn't end well. We want Ryan to flip on camera. Well, what's going on with all these flips? Botman, for real. I started watching Botman yesterday, actually. It's good. I like it. I'm gonna watch some more tonight. Best way to connect to higher self. I have a video on that, Shira. With how to connect to your spirit guides. I think it even has higher self in there. And in there I mention a meditation called Fishing for Answers. It's a very good meditation that will bring out your subconscious mind, the highest part of yourself that knows a lot of things. And you can get a lot of answers from that. And not only that, but you can do this experiment. I did it with a couple of friends and my partner, where I sat there next to her and I got her to connect to her subconscious mind, and I was telling her questions to ask to her subconscious mind, and her subconscious mind, higher self, would tell her things. I call it the abysmal mind because this meditation gets you really deep, like so deep. And it started telling her things ahead of time. Like before I even asked the question, she said it knew you was going to say that, and this is the answer. And then she started telling me answers before I even could form my questions. It was really weird. And then it, like, there was no, I was basically using her as a telephone to speak to this being, and this being would speak through her. I did it with a few clients too. And it's so easy. It's so easy to get things done. But it's nice. Okay, let's do more. Do you eat meat? No, I don't. But I did play with meat again after about 8 years of being vegan. I did ayahuasca, and I say this to every person who's done ayahuasca. Put this on a t-shirt. I was vegan until I did ayahuasca. Now I'm vegan or plant-based or whatever way I am at this present point of being. Definitely don't eat anything from an animal. But essentially, specific meats, when you get to a certain stage, there's a whole stage to veganism. And you learn this over time, where you dip in and out of different diets and you start to progress spiritually and you understand what diets are actually meant for. First stage is you come out of conditioning, which is when you believe that you have to eat to survive. You believe you have to eat it to get what you need, protein, stuff like that. It's very, you're very much impressioned into an idea of what dieting actually is. I don't mean to like be any particular way about that, but that's what happens. We come out of that, we kind of wake up and realize that, wait a second, all the nutrients are over here. We take that on board, then we raise our frequency, we become super aware, and our body starts acting really well. We do that for years. But then there's a problem because we hate meat at that point. We tend to do things to get away from meat. And that's when we get angry vegans. They're still on the spiritual path. They're just at a specific point. where they need to get rid of that now to ascend to a specific headspace. Then these angry vegans take ayahuasca and they realize that, oh crap, what the hell's going on? All of a sudden, I get this urge to eat meat, but it's not the physical body. It is not the physical body, okay? If you're not very aware of your physical body, of what's happening, you can assume that it is until eventually you feel sick, and then you'll just stop eating it again. But what's actually happening is so you've been many different people, most likely, throughout past lives. And those different versions of you used to eat certain things during specific periods of time. And so let's say you were stoned to death in your past life and you used to eat a lot of dairy and a lot of cheese. And then you start pulling up traumas from your past life. Okay, so you bring up a past headspace. Now you're thinking, I could do with some cheese, right? And in that point in time, you're probably like, because I used to eat cheese in my mama's barn back in the 1950s or 1800s, something like that. And so you eat the cheese, and then more memories start coming up from your past life to work on. This is the ayahuasca literally saying, hey, for now it's okay to eat this because we need to spit some stuff up so we can work on it. That's what happened to me. Some weird stuff happened. I got beaten the crap out of because in a past life, a whole village beat me to death. And I was persuaded to follow one of the shopkeepers with a pitcher of milk because I used to go to him and get milk all the time. I didn't eat milk when I came back with ayahuasca. I started eating eggs because eggs was something I used to eat at the time because we used to like farm living back then. And he betrayed me. He laughed and said, no, you can't come in. Took the milk away. And then everyone in the room in the ayahuasca ceremony, 60 people. Was it 60? Yeah, 60 people or more got up and their faces changed. Aaron Dowdy was next to me. He turned into a girl and looked at me and started smiling. They all got up and started beating me to death. And so, yeah, because the day before I had this pull to eat eggs, and I didn't know why, but this part of my mind that kind of came in to view on ayahuasca the day before during that ceremony was still intact. I was still in the medicine the day after, and it was like, you need to eat that because that's going to help you out for tonight. I was like, why? It's like, you just need to eat it. You need to trust me. And it said, last year you didn't listen to me and you stayed vegan. This year you have to trust me. And I'm like, fine. So I'm eating this egg and I get to it before the other YouTubers show up because I don't want them to start like leaking on YouTube that, hey, Ryan's eating eggs. And I get there before I think Leor shows up. And she's going through something similar. So we're like in the same boat. And I can trust her. So I eat this egg, right? I'm by myself. I have to go by myself and like compose myself because I'm about to throw up everywhere. And I eat it and I really don't like it. It tastes disgusting. I condition myself not to like it anyway. I condition myself to not like specific attributes of certain foods. That way it would change my emotional memory to a specific food. So that whenever I heard eggs, I'd think, oh, it's disgusting. A lot of people have positive emotional backing to like chicken and stuff like that. And so you say chicken, they get excited. And so that dictates their choices. I recondition myself. And yeah, I ate it anyway. I kept it down. It was hard. Harder than the ayahuasca was the night before. And then literally that night of the ceremony, I got stoned to death and beaten to death. Yeah, it was horrible. Where am I going with this? Veganism. Oh, that was it. So then what ended up happening is I came home and it took me over a period of 4 months to convince myself to try specific things again. And everything was a ritual because I just came out of a headspace where I really respected food and I freaking loved animals, man. Like I still do. Like I do. I love and respect them more than I want to eat them, which is a very good state of being to be in because then you don't hate eating meat or thinking about it. But at the same time, you love it enough to stay away from it. And so you're not lowering your frequency by hating or being disgusted by meat, which is something I had to learn so that my frequency can elevate. And I started doing rituals. I got organic chicken, and I did this whole ritual. It took 3 days where I had to mentally, psychologically prepare myself. I even did San Pedro to get myself in a certain headspace. And I took the check-in after 3 days. I walked to the store because I had to walk. Then I kind of feel a little guilty, a little ashamed that I was going to eat something that I really didn't want to partake in. So I punished myself. I said, "You're going to walk. You're not going to get a taxi." So I walked to the store and I got it, and I got the organic version. And I let it sit in salt water, and I massaged it with positive intentions, and I channeled the water a specific way to make it pure. I let it sit in my fridge. And I let it sit in my fridge for all afternoon until the sun went down. I did it at sunrise and the sun went down. And I made sure that the kitchen was blasted with a lot of sunlight to purify the space. Then what I did was when the sun went down, I did rapé. I went by the fire and I cooked it. And I cooked it and I felt all that I was feeling. I didn't let anything, I didn't suppress anything. No part of me wanted to eat it. So really everything that I was feeling was just this like disgust and empathy. And I felt very upset. And not only that, but I had a lot of memories come up from when I was a kid, and I got abused a lot as a child because my dad used to eat a lot of chicken, and we used to eat it in the house. And that was stuff I needed to work on. And so it's kind of like this part of my subconscious, or this, I don't know what it was, higher self, told me to do this. And it didn't disappear since ayahuasca. Now it's like quiet because I've done everything I need to do. But it didn't disappear. Months after ayahuasca, it was still there and it's telling me to do all this stuff. And so I cut it up, and I ate it. I took it upstairs and I ate it on my bed. It was really quiet up there. And I just started crying. And I didn't cry for reasons that I thought I would cry. I didn't cry because I was upset that I was eating the animal, although my relationship with the animal did change. I had more of a respect for the animal and what it went through. And I took it very seriously what I was doing. But I started crying because a lot of trauma started coming up. I was tripping on chicken. Like, I was having ayahuasca-like experiences on animal. Like, stuff was coming up for me to process. And I did that. I processed, and a lot of stuff with my dad came up, and that was it. I stopped eating it. I didn't like. I had made myself eat the rest. It wasn't much, but I wanted to squeeze it dry. It felt really heavy in my system, pretty heavy in my gut. And luckily, I know how to get rid of it because that's one thing going vegan helped me with was I became a master at cleansing my body. And so I had no doubt that I can repair what damage had just been done. And I also felt like I was carrying a baby chicken in my body the entire time. Weird, it sounded really gross, but yeah. And so, yeah, I did that with chicken. And then my mind, or the ayahuasca mind, came up again and said, okay, you need to do the same thing to fish. Pork. I was like, I can't do pork. No religion says pork. Not even Jesus goes near pork. No, you're not Jesus. You need to do pork. You need to do pork. You need to do fish and an egg, more egg. You don't have to do cheese for now, and you don't have to do chicken. No, not chicken. You don't have to do milk. And I was like, okay. And so throughout the whole year, I did rituals every now and then. And yeah, it changed me. And I even went back into conditioning myself into enjoying it, just to see what the heck was happening. And by doing that, I understood why people get conditioned in the first place. And then I was able to control what was happening. I was like, okay, I see what happened here. This is what happened in the first part of my life where I got conditioned into eating meat, but I wasn't aware of it. I just deliberately conditioned myself back into eating animal products. I'm going to come out of it now because it's making me sick. And I don't agree with this ethically. So I came out of it by reconditioning myself, but now I condition myself in a certain state where I'm not so put off by specific foods. I was doing really good the other day, but then I focused on something a bit too much when it came to animal protein or animal stuff. But yeah, that was my journey, and I feel like I can talk about it now. Like for a while, I kind of held off on telling people, but honestly, I understand, believe, and know the process enough to the point where I'm really confident in telling it to people, in a sense where I know what I'm saying. And so, yeah, those of you who have done like ayahuasca and stuff like this has happened, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. What have I started, says Ethernet? I'm not sure what have I started. I don't know. What's a neophyte? You see, I got a lot of neophytes on my page. Let's Google this. First thing I think of is Matrix. Neophyte meaning. A person who is new to a subject or activity, a new convert to a religion, a novice in a religious order, or a newly, or that's really good. That means that I'm getting more subscribers. Like it's working. It's working. Yeah. Report the spammers. I'm not gonna report the spammers. Hi, Box McGee. He says, Ryan, please help me. What's up? Oh, I'm getting close to the bottom of the list now because it's like halfway in between. More do flips. I can't do a flip in my this. No. I can't do it in this place. It's too small. Plus, actually, I can do a flip. I'm not gonna. How does the moon affect us? So the moon, it pulls on your water in your body, and your water deals with your subconscious mind. Not because it just sounds cool, but because your subconscious mind is your emotions, which get carried in your nervous system, which is surrounded by water, and your water literally takes the form of specific crystals, which conduct the energy of your nervous system, which then, in other words, your nervous system alters the structure of your water, which then helps the nervous system permeate the cells of your body with information more. Okay, so say you have a trauma, you get scared, your nervous system feels that, then it alters the structure of the water in your body, and that now becomes that becomes you in a sense. That's in your cells, that's in your flesh. And a lot of people have dead water in their body because they eat a lot of salt, which then retains water in their system, which is retaining memory. There are ways of clearing this memory, like bath rituals, for example, and freezing cold water and rapé. But ultimately, a good clean fast is a good way of getting rid of it. It's a good way. And so the moon pulls the water and it brings up your subconscious mind. It brings up the stored emotion, and it can make you emotional if you want it to. When you stare at the moon, you might get sad. You hear the wolves. And like whenever you hear a wolf, you think they're sad, like they're howling at the moon. So the moon has a really good effect on your emotional body. If you're doing any type of emotional healing, staring at the moon every single night, going through the lunar phases of the moon can help pull out specific parts of your emotional body, especially after an ayahuasca, like when you're trying to integrate. So you need more of that stuff to come up so you can make sense out of it, so that you can be fine, you know? Well, that's integration for you. It's making sense out of your experiences and finishing them in a sense so you can heal. And moving forward, it's learning how to deal with your emotional state, learning new skills to deal with your emotions and your mental behaviors and other things that come up. That's how the moon affects you. Moon gazing, sun gazing do two different things to you. Moon gazing, one of my favorites. Sun gazing just makes you feel alive and warm and fuzzy. It activates a lot of things in your body and the cells. Yes, we must unite, says you guys are like banding together to report all the spammers. I love you. Thank you very much. If you donated to me and you asked a question and I didn't get to see it, do what this guy did. Send me an Instagram message on Ryan_J_Cropper. I donated on your live tonight and you missed my question. Would be nice if you could answer. Sure. Was it? I can do it through here. Boom! Let's see how quick that gets to you. I'm pretty sure you just saw me do that. Why is everyone telling me to do? How did this start? Like, I suggested Bob Psycho 100. It's a very spiritual anime, and please do a flip. Yeah, Bobman, I just trying to see your thumbnail. I was like, did you have him as your thumbnail, main character? It is. It's spiritual. I've seen a lot of spiritual shows, so I wouldn't say it was very spiritual because I've seen some like Mushy Mushy is very spiritual. Noragami is very spiritual. Mushy Mushy especially, definitely Mushy Mushy. Death Parade is very psychologically spiritual. Mob Psycho 100 is more supernaturally sci-fi spiritual, like your potential and way your thoughts can direct you, or how your thoughts can direct your experience in a specific way. You know what I think, guys, is going to happen? I can't say that. I'll put it out there, and I might collapse it into the quantum field. See what I did there? It's your mind's way of understanding. I mean, the mind, the mind has many ways of understanding so many things, and you can train your mind to be multi-perspective in a sense. I remember I used to be in, I called it a one-dimensional mindset when I was younger. I was like 17, maybe 16, and I was in my hometown, and for the first time in my life, I realized that no one else thought the same. I used to think that everyone thought like me, like everyone. I just assumed and just believed that. But then something happened. I'm not sure what it was that just caused this epiphany, awakening moment where I realized that everyone is built differently. I think it was how I connected their past and how they live out of their interactions. Like people's interactions shape their personality, and that determines their choices. It also determines how they see the world. And I was literally, as soon as I realized that, I became aware and I visually saw and heard how everyone was different. And I was like, holy crap. And then my mind was able to comprehend, whilst listening to them, how they were thinking from different perspectives. And then my mind became split and it started perceiving from many perspectives. It's still doing this to this day. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Like on Supernatural when they went to the bad place. I'm not sure what you're talking about. I got this sage, it's about to get lit. Oh god, now everyone's doing it. I'm just going to stop mentioning it. It's just going to feed into it, and everyone's going to do it. It's putting it in their imagination. Oh, I'm at the bottom now. No, wait, no, there's more. How much time are we doing? An hour and 22 minutes. I got a lot of energy. I got nothing going on today. It's Tuesday. I'm going to do this for a while. I might go make some tea and come back. Just like heat it up. I'm not going to heat up and stand in my kitchen and wait. That'd be rude. I was going to turn it on and come back and go out, fill it up. Are you Jin Demon? I'm so... Thank you. That is an honor to be thought. Because mainly, I'm like taking it well because I watched Aladdin last night. No, I'm not. But that's pretty cool. I'm taking that as a compliment. They know a lot of stuff. The most powerful being. What is this? I'm being trapped in my lamp. It's so small in here. Come with me, parrot. First off, I wrote that you are amazing. Then my question was about books that increase vibrational frequency consciousness. Book you like? Okay, so this is gonna these. All right, it's hard to show because I've got all these books stacked up right now, keeping my laptop high. I can just read them out to you. None of them are the ones. Actually, no, there's one. Breaking the Death Habit by Leonardo. I know I've mentioned it many times before. Microphone. But that changes your perspective on a lot of things. Breaking the Death Habit by Leonard Orr. Okay. And then, I haven't gotten to this one yet. Fabric of Reality. Becoming Supernatural by Joey Dispenza. There's also one that I have read, and I'm in the process of reading it again, listening to it again. I've only read some of it. Probably like 40 pages. It's a 300-page book, so I use Audible, and then I just referred back to the page whenever there was a diagram mentioned in the audio book. It's called You Are the Placebo, Making Your Mind Matter, which literally teaches you as to how your body is created out of your thoughts. It's amazing. It re-educates you. Everything you think you know about aging or the mind and your personality gets wiped. It's like being born under a different philosophical understanding on how the world works and how your body works. And that's the first thing you learned, not the misunderstanding or the misinterpreted way as to how life plays out. So there's that one. And then there's Breaking the Habit. Oh, that's also by Dr. Joe Dispenza. I'll say the title again. It's called You Are the Placebo, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. No, wait, no, sorry. That's the second book. You Are the Placebo, Making Your Mind Matter by Joey Dispenza. The third book is Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Joey Dispenza. Okay. My views on past life, Ollie? Check out my first video. It's definitely real. I have more information, including some stories, on my Rhythmia series, where I went to Rhythmia and I documented my experience there somewhat. And I mentioned what happened to me. And a lot of it has to do with past lives. I'm just going to reach over here. Look up Dr. Hamilton. I've heard of Dr. Hamilton. What are your thoughts on synchronicity? Do you think it exists? It does exist. It does definitely exist. Oh, the Metro back. Oh, Cole. You're awesome. Did I answer the message? I did, right? What is happening? Why is my brain doing this? I'm never going to find out. My phone's dead. The You Are the Placebo book also has 2 great audio book meditations on Audible. Thanks for sharing with it last live stream, right? Like I got to the end of the book. I'm like, okay, where's the meditation? Where's the meditation that's going to tell me how to change my thoughts in my body? Where is it? And it never came. They upselled me. They said, if you want the book, the meditation, you can buy it over on Audible. I was like, okay, so I had to fork out an extra £8 for it. It's like it's smart, but that's a little tricky. I mean, that's not very cool. 300 pages. Someone reads through 300 pages, and they're like little innuendos in the book that kind of alluded to you reading or hearing the meditation. No, I mean, there's a bit in it that helps you understand how to meditate, but that's as far as it goes. Thanks for the donate, buddy. Breaking the Death Habit of... Oh, wait, someone listed them. Okay, guys, if you want to know what the title is of those books, someone mentioned it in the chat. Breaking the Death Habit, The Science of Everlasting Life, Becoming Supernatural. How common people are doing the uncommon. Nice. You Are the Placebo and Making Your Mind Matter. You're very welcome. Awesome. Ryan, please, I've sent messages. Okay, got it. I got it this time. Bollocks McGee. Ryan, please, I've sent a message a lot. If you could scroll up, I really need to help with this. Oh, dang it. I should have wrote it then. I would have seen it. Try it right now. I'm at the bottom. Go for it. I'll catch it. What do you have to say about repetitive dreams, especially when they are sexual in nature? It means part of your mind is constantly thinking in some way, shape, or form about intercourse for whatever reason. Sometimes a direct reason. You go to bed aroused. Sometimes an indirect reason, like you start thinking a series of thoughts that you don't think could possibly lead to that route. But yeah, they do. They do. They do. I mean, thoughts that are like non-sexual. Like how? Like why are they even leading to that? Like let's say you imagine moving country, and you're single, and you're thinking about all the things you're gonna do there, right? Swimming, you're outside, and then you go to sleep, and then for some reason you dream about having sex with someone in that country. Unrelated, but related. That's what happens. Where are you, McGee? Where are you? 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 Oh wow. Oh wait, what's this? Oh, there we go. You got it. Bollock says, I fear being stupid unconscious. So much that I fear the fear. Wait, what? Slow down my brain. Slow down my mind. Read slower. Stupid unconscious. So much that made it worse. Okay. I fear being stupid. I fear being stupid unconscious so much that I fear the fear turned into an endeavor to prove the fear right. I understand. I feel powerless against this process, but I feel it discouraging my thought. Okay, cool. So you believe so wholeheartedly that you're unconscious slash stupid to the point where now you're trying to prove it to people, to prove it to yourself, to affirm the belief. Why is it important for you, question, to feel stupid? Why is that important? What are you getting out of it? You know, I fear being stupid. You fear it. I mean, it doesn't have to be important, I guess, to you. Usually, when people are trying to prove something to other people, it's because they're trying to get something. Like it's important to the process of attaining something, whether it be validation, some form of reactivity from, say, audience. But you fear it. So it could just be a case of you being so scared. That's what it sounds like. That you can't help it. Here's a question. Are you trying to get their validation of your fear? Are you trying to get them to say that you are stupid? I really don't like that word. Unconscious? If that's the case, have us sit down with someone and ask them if they think you're stupid. Someone that likes you. Okay. And get a lot of perspectives as to how people see you intellectually. Because that's going to change your idea on how intellectual you are. And get a lot of that going. Get some recordings if you want. You know, record it or do some audio tapes of it. Like record it sneaky under the jacket. Record them showering you with compliments, and then play it in your eardrum over and over and over again, and just listen to it. Really remember. Don't listen to it and ignore it. Listen to it and really remember that those interactions where people told you how intelligent you were, and how you do little things that most people don't do. What will end up happening is you'll feel fine. You'll feel calm, and you'll rest assured knowing that you're not how you think you are. And the real power is in thinking, okay, if I have to act this way to prove to myself that I'm stupid, then by default, that means that without me acting, I'm not stupid. Because if you were, you wouldn't have to pretend, right? You wouldn't have to behave stupid. That's like an instant checkmate right there with the mind. You can just think about that a few times. That will help. Thoughts on the Kabbalion. It's a brilliant. Find that in my audio playlist. Audible. I like it. It made a lot of sense to me. But here's the crazy thing. I know everything in the Kabbalion and 100, way more, before I read the book The Kabbalion, the as above, so below concepts, because I took way too much Sam Betra my first time. And I literally got everything like just in here and out there. I would see an as above, so below Mason sign in my room, and this line would go through it. then this dot in the middle, and then my consciousness would change because I was going from above, from below to above, then in the middle, and then Jesus would come through my wall, and then this blue orb would come through, and all these light beings would come behind me, and I would start resonating and making a sound. My body would vibrate from the inside. And it was like, you need to be there. It told me everything about the as above, so below. I opened up my laptop. I started looking at Facebook and Google Images, and I could see where everyone was at in the as above, so below concept. It was weird, but it wasn't like I kind of know. I knew it. I could write the book on it, type of know. I could explain it perfectly, verbatim, and more. And so then I read, I listened to the book, The Kabbalion, probably half a year later or more. And I was like, yeah, I know this. Yeah, I know this. You know, when you're like in sixth grade, no, sixth grade, sixth form, or you're in university or college, and you hear something that you learned about in like grade one, and you're like, oh yeah, I know that. Like, it's easy. Yeah, there's no like like that's light. That's light, and you have a perception because of everything you've learned that is easy knowledge. Like, it's simple to digest. That's what the Kabbalion was to me. So I love it. I love it. I love it. Um, mm, mm, mm. Mm, 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 Have you met any dragons? I met a lot of dragons. Like, a lot. I met one last night, and then I changed the course of the experience. It came through my wall, and it had like gills on the side of it. Really, I say dragon. It was of the dragon species, the Draco species, which really are just a species of reptiles that form in specific ways. And so if you get into Kundalini a lot and you see a lot of stuff regarding to Kundalini visions, or you've taken something that has you experience Kundalini awakenings, you often see a lot of seraphim or a lot of serpents. And then depending on the levels of serpents that you experience and the knowledge that they help you with, or the interactions that you end up experiencing with them, you'll get to see different serpent-like beings, from snakes to dragons. Sometimes you get a mixture in between. I got a snake coming through the wall yesterday. It was quite big, and it had gills on the side of its head, and it was transparent. Its body was transparent, its head wasn't. Do I know anything about Merlin the Wizard? I don't. Hey, hey. What kind of being are we living in? We're not. Um, I don't know how to answer that. I don't think there's a word for it. I mean, the closest everyone knows of is universe, or the multiverse. What if when I astral project, I just see boxes? Why would you just see boxes? Is it possible to project a different body through your astral body? Is it possible to project a different body through your astral body? I don't think so. I know it's possible to project a different body out of your physical body. Like, you can project your emotional body out of your physical body. You can project your mental body out of your physical body. You can project etheric information out of your physical body, changing the template of other people's cells and how their body reacts and responds. That gets you into controlling the health of other people. Um, yeah. I know you can mix the bodies in the astral plane. You can kind of merge them with the astral body in order to experience a different type of experience. That's pretty cool. What do you think of Till Swan? I think she's awesome. Matter of fact, I used to watch Till Swan. Like before I was on YouTube, I watched Till Swan, Makalasi, and 13 Cents Astrology, and Ralph Smart. This was before they became big too. This was a while ago. Like, and I watched them because I had comfort in knowing that there are other people out there that were talking about spirituality without getting upset. Like, for the most part, I imagine a lot of people are afraid to teach spiritual teachings online because they're afraid of the reactivity. They're afraid of the reactions they're going to get from the public, you know. And so, like, I had stuff, and I really wanted to talk about it, but I was scared, and I had to work through that. Clearly, it worked, and but there was a time where it didn't work, and I kind of watched them as a form of comfort, you know. It was really cool. I was like, man, one day I'm going to meet them. Like one day. That's what I used to think. And I haven't yet, but I could if I wanted to. I haven't needed to. It's weird. I feel like our paths will just cross, like me and the other YouTubers. Yeah. Please read what's your thoughts on natal birth charts. I think I did one earlier. I did. But notice natal birth charts are different. I'm pretty sure I did cover it earlier today, like an hour ago. Could you tell what I'm sitting on to prove this? No. I think the question is, will you prove if it's real? Which, no. I don't like proving stuff like that. It messed me up for a while. Last time I proved, like Vice had to really convince me. Can you explain hypo... Okay, if I do a dab, would you guys... I kind of did one in secret. You guys didn't notice it? I went to reach for my glass and I went like this. You want like a big one, right? I'm not gonna do a big one. I might pull something. Wait, where was the question? It just disappeared. Hypo something hallucinations. I haven't heard of that word before in regard to hallucinations. There it is. Let me Google it so that I probably experienced it. And then if I have, I can tell you a little bit about it. Oh, gee. Okay. Are imagined sensations that seem very real. They occur as a person is falling asleep. These are, I can't pronounce that word. HYPNA, hypnagogic hallucinations. There we go. That was weird. That was like someone just stepped into my brain and decided to read it out for me. I didn't even read it out. He just said what it was. That wasn't right. Hypnagogic hallucinations are imagined sensations that seem very real. They occur as a person is falling asleep and also referred to as sleep hallucinations. The term hypnagogic describes the period when a person wakes up. Hypnagogic defines the period when a person falls asleep. I do, but my definition of a hallucination is a little different from the standard definition of hallucination. We kind of grow up and people say that hallucinations aren't real. So the word hallucination is just a term which we use to pass off specific things, just kind of brush off specific experiences. A hallucination, from my perspective, is when you tap into a different frequency of light. Your pineal gland shoots out specific frequencies that has you experience a different hallucinatory experience. This whole world is a hallucination if you think about it. This is gonna blow your mind. Check this out. So, okay, you're in this room, right? You're not in my room. You're in your room, and you think you're looking at your computer screen, but really, what you're looking at is light that's hitting your retina, which is then, it doesn't even look like this, gets smashed to pieces into a beam of light that then travels through your optic nerve, hits your pineal gland, and reforms the information into something you can recognize, and then it flips it upside down. Wait, it doesn't flip upside down, sorry. It comes into your head upside down once it's pieced everything together into something that you can recognize. Then it throws it to the back of your head and flips it upright. So you're actually looking at everything upside down. You're just receiving light, which, by the way, you don't know what that even looks like. Like right now, I'm looking at everything. This isn't me receiving light. This isn't what light actually. Like, for example, the light you're looking at isn't the light that comes into your eyes, because this light is the small amount of light that has been processed through your optic nerve to be created into something that you recognize in your pineal gland, upside down, and then into the back of your head and flipped upright. And so you're probably, I use the example of a copper wire. A copper wire, you put electricity through it, 80%, 100% goes in, 80% comes out. So 20% is missing. Yeah, when your mind isn't fully open and your third eye isn't fully active, you're taking in probably like 100%. I doubt it. I mean, I do doubt it. But let's say, for example purposes, you're taking in 100%, but then somewhere down the line, you're not actually converting in 100%. And so, that being said, you're not actually in the reality you think you are. You're experiencing the end result of an hallucination, light being processed a certain way, and you're not even looking through your eyes. You're actually seeing me right now through the back of your head. Not only that, but hearing. Yeah. So people think hearing is a sense. It's not. Hearing isn't a sense. Hearing is nothing more than the vibration of particles rubbing against your eardrum, and so it's touch. And even then, touch, he said, that touch is just hitting your nervous system, which is being converted into light. So something's touching your ear. And again, the 80% rule, which only applies to copper. And I'm not sure what it is with the physical body, but that touch hits whatever's touching your ear. Let's say it's the air, hits your eardrum, that hits your nerve, and then that goes through your system. And you're experiencing that internally. Your body is internalizing that as some form of touch. That's how your body's interpreting what's happening. Okay, your body's interpreting something as being hot. That thing might not actually be hot. You don't really know. That's just what your senses are telling you. This is how your senses are making sense out of whatever it is you're interacting with. And so this is really cool because it's like you're hallucinating right now. You've just been stuck in this hallucination for so long, you kind of forgot that you hallucinated in the first place. And everyone forgets when they incarnate. But then you've been convinced that you're not hallucinating and that this is real. And that everything that happens when you take a psychoactive substance isn't real. But when you take a psychoactive substance, all that's happening is how your brain perceives the light coming in, the information that it's experiencing is being changed. And so you're experiencing more of the reality than you can actually perceive. So you're hallucinating a different side of what's around you. And so, yeah, it's deep stuff. Let's keep going. I think time just slowed down. What just happened there? Because I looked at the clock and it was 1:44. Now it's 1:47. How'd that work out? Ryan, thoughts on Buddha, Siddhartha, and monks on astral projection? Buddha's really cool in the astral plane. I haven't really had many interactions with him though. The other person you mentioned, Siddhartha, I haven't interacted with, I don't think. Maybe I have. Let me just Google him, see what it's like. The monks in the astral plane, though, I've had quite a bit of experience with them. I get along with some of them. The elders, not so much. They're very much in their ways, and they don't like me. The most of the ones that I've met haven't liked me because I've been to places that they're not allowed. Like they don't. I've been to places that they forbid their students to go to. So when I show up, it's like I'm dirty to them. Yeah, it's not cool. Oh, this guy's been fasting. Respect. Have I met this being? Oh, that's Buddha, right? Yeah, it's just another name for him. This guy looks kind of different though. Maybe? This is a lot of questions, eh? Did you meet one time the collective consciousness, aka the devil? Um, yes, but I wouldn't say it was the collective conscious. You mean you're right in some aspects, but I wouldn't say it was the collective consciousness being the devil. Mm, astral warfare happens a lot. Do you still actively astral project? Yes, I do. I just kind of I taught myself out of making astral projection videos. If I'm to be honest, I kind of got in my own head. Um, I started experiencing astral dimensions that were very different. I mean, heck, I put a block on a lot of the stories that I wanted to tell in the beginning anyway, because I have ones that I know people would resonate with and and understand and believe, and then I have ones that I know people aren't going to believe. And so nowadays, a lot of the astral projections I have, like I have a considerable amount of doubt in believing that people would take me seriously, and so I just don't say anything. Um, or haven't been saying much. And because of that, now when I have astral projection experiences, I don't even think to record it. I go to my mindset now because this has become a condition. I've conditioned myself in this state of being where it's like, okay, that was cool. And then I go and answer some emails, I might chill out, just do something mundane. It's just normal for me to go from a super psycho experience, astral spiritual experience to normal life. Can you create actual weapons? You can, but it's best just to trigger your weapons through confrontation. If something comes near you and you just intentionally want it to go away, you might end up materializing or just triggering an ability, which works in physical reality too. Like there's an ability you can project where you're in the astral plane and you tell it to go away, and you can end up opening up a hole in time and space behind this being and throwing it through, and the hole will close. Or you can shred souls. So you literally just it's kind of like killing, but really what you're doing is you're de-evolutionalizing them. You're taking them from what they think they are all the way back to source consciousness and evaporating them into the surrounding source that makes up the etheric plane. It's literally like a devolution. And so you can do that too. And if you know what that feels like, you can do it here in the physical. If you feel like there's some things in your room, you can just go, and it will have the effect because they will go. You'll feel them gone. It's so dark, right? Thanks for everything, says Anthony Alpha. You're welcome. Right. Uh, Ryan, why did aliens visit you while you were in Costa Rica? Aliens visit me in Costa Rica? Aliens visit me in Costa Rica. I can't remember. I was in a very different headspace in Costa Rica. Memories tend to be easier to remember when you tune back into old headspaces. I don't know. I'm gonna make this just over 2 hours, so I'm gonna go get some more of this. I'll be back in a sec. See, I told you I wouldn't wait in my kitchen. I'm gonna have to get up again. Can you please explain the effects of sleeping with an amethyst under your pillow? Okay, I'll do it again. I'm not gonna do it again because I don't want everyone to be upset because I keep repeating myself, because that tends to be a thing. But I will tell you how to find the information. 2 videos ago, I'm like this with an amethyst crystal in my hand. I mention how it affects you. Like I go into detail. Also, I have a video on how to use crystals, and that goes into even more detail as to the dynamics of crystal channeling and channeling energy and how it manipulates your aura and changes your thought patterns. Okay, that's a cool one. I'm like this with 2 crystals. On my PageRank Cropper, if you go along that tab where it says home, videos, and there's community there too, story, if you keep going, it will say search. And you can search, type in crystal, and you'll find it. Hi, brother. Hey. You're on sleep paralysis here. Is it normal to get extremely hot and sweaty and sleep paralysis and to fly extremely fast but in place? That's cool. That's definitely an astral projection right there. I guess flying like that in place is normal. Weird things happen all the time. Getting really hot and sweaty though, I wouldn't say that's normal. Okay, so non-stop lucky dog. I think the reason your comments aren't showing, like they're being flagged because you're putting way too many emojis in there. I can see it, but it's like grayed out. I'm gonna read it out anyway and answer your question. Hi, I'm trying to manifest 60 pounds for your manifestation course. Any tips? That's funny. You're not the first person to say that. Also, what are your thoughts on subliminals? Okay, my thoughts on subliminals are they work if you can make a connection between what you're saying and an actual experience within your life that actually happened. You can listen to someone telling you you're good all your life, like we say. You can listen to someone saying that you're a good person all the while in your ear, but if you don't believe it, if you don't have some type of experience to connect what they're saying to, then you won't fully not only believe it, but be able to bring out that feeling because it's a state of being good. And people have been conditioned through repetitive negative thoughts or repetitive negative behaviors to feel like bad people. And so if you constantly listen to repetitive advice about being good and you can connect it to a memory, that'll bring up an old state of being and recondition your state. It's like this with a lot of things when it comes to manifestation. So affirmations wise, yeah. And this is how you would use it to manifest the 60 pounds easily. Just remember times where you manifested money already and it's been easy. You've probably found money, or you've been in a good space where you've made more money. That's a good one. Being in a good space where you've stayed a little longer at work. That's really good. It brings up those states of beings and it makes you work a little longer, or it makes you work smart because you have a lot of leeway here when it comes to making money. You don't have to work long periods of time to make a lot of money. You can make it in your sleep. Okay. So you just gotta get smart with what you're asking. If you know you can calculate and predict things, and you know you can get a result, let's say you play video games or you play chess, you can say or write out the affirmation, I'm capable of figuring out how to checkmate life. I'm capable of figuring out how to make money work for me. I'm capable of figuring out how to make passive income in my sleep. And because you know you're capable of figuring out, remember to connect it to some type of memory where you're figuring something out. It doesn't have to be money related. It can be anything. That'll bring out that state of being and you'll figure it out fast too. It doesn't take very long, like at all. And I just gave you guys like, wow. That was big right there. Why, hello there. Still here? I needed that with the Deadpool mask on. If I did that with the Deadpool mask on, I just blew my surprise. I shouldn't have said that. I'll delete the last. Okay, that won't. Not everyone's gonna watch this. Not everyone gets around to it. I can still do it. Thanks for your donation. You're in the UK, I can tell, because you got a pound sign. Thanan? Thanan? Thanan. Can I change my past and my reality? As if so, how? You can't change your past, but you can change how your body responds to your memories of your past. Or rather, you can't change your past, but you can change your reaction to the past. Or rather, you can't change your past, but you can live in a body that thinks that the past didn't exist. From a state of being where it feels like you didn't have traumas, from a state of being where it feels like something didn't happen. And that's only if you want to move past some type of trauma. So imagine it not ever happening. Imagine a better scenario taking place and condition yourself like that all the time. If you're trying to change the past because you want something to have an effect in the present moment or the future, like telling yourself not to get that tattoo, that works because if your body thinks that you never got it, your body starts to do some very weird things and it deals with the ink much better. Same with scars. If you imagine you never actually had the scar in the first place, your body doesn't recognize that it has a scar anymore. Like it changes the story that it changes the story that you're telling to your body that's keeping the scar in place. But those are physical things. Physical reality things, though, like changing an event in the past so that someone will like you. Like maybe you did something in the past and someone hates you. You don't want to change it to make things right or to make that person see you differently. That doesn't. Maybe something out there happens. Maybe where you can make that happen. Though from my experience, if you imagine that thing happening in the past, that debacle, that conflict, not actually happening, you end up speaking to that person differently in the present, and that person heals from it really fast. And you can control the process. You can control how a person heals, the readiness, the speed, based on your imagination and how you're imagining possibly apologizing to the person in your mind. You know, you can do a lot of difference. But otherwise, like little change, I haven't experienced. I'm not going to go out my way and say that it doesn't exist because I honestly don't know. Like I said, the world's so weird. Things are so strange that I could say yes and probably be right. Have you ever time traveled, like traveling through a wormhole and going back to an old memory and seeing it from an outside perspective? Same thing with possible future outcomes. I haven't done it like that, but I have time traveled for 3 whole days. I projected my consciousness back into the past. I wink because my perception on the past is completely different now. And I experienced 3 whole days, sleep and even dreaming in the past, like everything. I went backwards. And when I did that, I had no idea that this story, who I am here, even existed, who I became, because I had yet to become Ryan, as you know me to be. In my mind, those 3 days was the present moment. How I thought when I was 8 was me. And so that's cool. I have a video on that too, time travel one. I talk about my whole experience in detail, like fresh too. So I'm excited. Solution for feeling lost, please. Do we have a life purpose? If you I watched an anime recently. You might know this one, but what I'm about to say. And this little robot says something very smart. This girl says we're lost, and he goes, "We're not lost because by definition, lost means you don't know where you're going. No, you don't know where you are. We know where we are. We just don't know where we're going." Which is very smart. I really like that. I don't know what's going with that. That was it. Life. Don't worry about where you're going. Just know where you are, and that has to be okay. Like if you're feeling okay with what you're doing and where you are, then don't worry about where you're going, because where you are is where you know you are. You're not lost if you know where you are. Sometimes you have to like rewrite your destiny. Sometimes you have to think of it in a way. Oh, that's so cool, Tasha. That's an awesome. Thanks for that's a very thank you. Uh, Sometimes you have to rewrite your opinion or your idea on your life purpose. Sometimes you have to drop the whole idea of a life purpose just to find out what you're doing here and what you need to do. Which is, it sounds very contradictory, but trust me, if you just give up on the whole idea of having to go somewhere, all of a sudden you're like this. You got so much time on your hands. Like, okay, what do I want to do? That's what it becomes about. What do I want to do? And then you just start doing stuff. Not because you have to do it for any particular reason. You're not trying to get something or to go somewhere. You're just being you. And then everything around you starts to change. And then you realize that in the process of being present, in the process of knowing where you are, you actually found where you were going. That's weird. It's supposed to sound really cool. I don't know. It kind of went over my head just then. Oh gosh. Okay. Dade. You sneeze. No, I'm good. Dade says, been having a hard time astral projecting. I can build up the frequency, but I can't ever go all the way to leaving my body. What am I doing wrong? Okay, you could be overthinking it. You could be expecting to astral project a very particular type of way. If you overthink it, then you're in a different state of being. You're not in the astral projection state of being. If you're expecting it to turn out a specific type of way, you're signaling to your body that any way that it's trying to get you out is incorrect, because you know how it's supposed to work, right? Well, I mean, you got an idea as to how it's supposed to work. So your body's going to believe you. It's going to be like, okay, it's Heidi to get out. But your body's trying to get you out probably through teleportation. And so your body's, it loves the crap out of you. It's going to believe you, even if it knows it's doing the right thing. It's going to be like, okay, maybe I'm doing the wrong thing. And it's going to stop. And so then you want to astral project. So getting in your own way in regard to expecting it to turn a specific way is bad. It could be that you're that you've grounded yourself to your physical body. People do this when they think that they need to focus on their breathing the entire time. The room is too warm. They try to stay still. When you try to stay still, your body locks up, and then you become irritated and you become very sensitive. So you start to feel blood moving throughout your system, and you might accidentally mistake those movements as vibrations, but they're not the vibrational state, energetical vibrations. They're actually you becoming hypersensitive to the blood moving within your constricted arteries because you're holding yourself so damn tight. Then if you're doing this, you'll know you're doing this because your ankles and your wrists will start to hurt, and you'll start to notice the saliva dropping down the back of your throat. It could be any one of those, and probably more. Check something real quick. Yeah, so I'm leaving house. I'm leaving On the 1st, hopefully, of next month. Fingers crossed. Definitely am. Yes, it's happening. And I'm either going to sell paintings before or after. If it's after, then you guys will get them maybe 6 months down the line or like a year from now, because I'm going to be around traveling a little bit. Or you can get them you can ask for them from now till the like 27th. Maybe I'll have time to get them out to anyone by then. I have a couple. If you want to see them, if you're interested, let me know and then I'll show you. I don't want to make this like a marketing thing. But I made them because I wanted to sell them. You know, I wanted to sell them and then to say that I'm an artist because I actually got a piece that I sold. Now I know I can sell them because I know people will buy them, but like I'm really attached to them because I really like them. I was gonna sell them last time, but I felt like I put the price way too low on one of them. I have one that I want to sell cheaper just to get rid of, but yeah, I just want to have that feeling, you know. Yeah. What else we got here? Does anyone know his sun, moon, and rising sign? LOL. Guys trying to figure me out through astrology, huh? Oh. How are we gonna tell people on Instagram that I'm live? My phone's dead. I'll be back in a second. I got an idea. If I do this right, I'll be live for a little longer so I can answer more of your questions. Okay, let's put this in here. Nope, nope. There's nothing I can do. Okay. There's always something I can do. Alright. Genius. You guys will see what that was about in a second. Oh, we got a donation. Run to it. Ryan, did you get my Snapchat? I'm not on Snap. I think I made a Snapchat, but then I deleted the app. I was stretching myself too thin with social media. I hear. Thanks for the donation, RB. Ooh, I like your last name. I hear this really high frequency. It feels great. It won't stop though. Any ideas? If it's changing, and it sounds like you've got about 3 frequencies at the same time, then your pineal gland and your pituitary glands are actually developing, pushing you toward developing new sensory abilities. Or you're having some type of internal change because of these tones going on in your head. Usually it's all geared towards evolution, which is really cool. If it's just one tone, you could have tinnitus, which is I think when your jaw is so like locked up here, it like causes pressure and creates ringing in the ears. Yeah. If it's the evolution one, just lay down on the floor and listen to it even more. And don't try to make them louder. Just let them put you into a trance-like state, and they'll make you evolve a little faster so that it can then die down and disappear. Opinion on astral projection. I got quite a big one. I've been doing it my life, my entire life. It's cool. It's real. Definitely real. Definitely different from dreams. You learn a lot there. It does change your opinion on life and a lot of things. It gets rid of your sense of fear when it comes to death. Like, you're no longer afraid of death when you astral project the first time. You shouldn't be. You come back and like, okay, that was dying. That was easy. And you realize you don't actually die. That's when it actually hits home. Every time you come out of this reality, you come out of your conditioning. You come out of the stories here, the idea of how things are. And because of that, your mind expands. You put something down, you can pick something up. And so the more you venture, the less of a societal personality you have. And you can go really blank sometimes. And the more of a dimensional personality you have. It's very strange. Ryan, how to time travel? Experiment with my memory mastery course. Upon developing that course, that's when I ended up time traveling. Edwin says, what's your highest rate of success exit techniques? The 10-step astral projection mastery course. And that literally makes it so you can master the astral projection exit technique every single time. It puts a lot of things into perspective when it comes to how energy causes the body to shift into a different state of being, an astral state. And then from that state, you can step out. When you're able to control the energy like that, it becomes very easy to build it up in the system to the point where you end up being thrown out of your body. It's kind of a problem, actually, because sometimes you have so much energy in you, astral projection energy, that you don't have to say anymore. Like, you go work the next day, but no, your body wants you to astral project because you've been doing the system so often that you've ended up piling up all of this dimensional frequency. And so you need to kind of let it out. And to let it out, you need to express it. And to express it, unfortunately, is astral projection, which is kind of fortunate if you're trying to astral project in the first place. Unfortunate if you'll work the next morning. Because when you come back from astral projection, you're not tired. You're wide awake. You're even more awake than you were when you lay down. And so you're probably going to be up all night. And you have to go to work and be tired at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. But it's that one. Heck, with that one, I wouldn't even say there's a rate. You just do it. What did you waste and why? Have I ever eaten magic mushrooms? I have. I made a video on that because my first trip experience. It was a horrible experience. The second one I did, it wasn't even an experience. Actually, no, wait, no, this is magic mushrooms. Yeah, I did a few magic mushrooms experiences. I like them. I actually really like magic mushrooms. I can control it a lot. I can pop in and out. I feel like a magician. I've read a lot of psycho. Not say that. Or yeah, but I feel like someone who can really control it. Truffles was the bad experience. I'm not a fan of truffles. I only did that. I've done truffles twice, and the second experience wasn't really a full experience. I was just microdosing it throughout the day. Below the rut, I don't have Snapchat, so I didn't get it. I had it, like the actual app. I made an account and then deleted it straight away. Good night. How do I control what energies I use? You have to control your state by reconditioning yourself. The energies that you use are as of a result of your conditioning. For example, really aroused people are really aroused because they've conditioned themselves over a long period of time to be really aroused. Trust me, they probably notice things or look at things when they go out. You know, they look at people and they've conditioned themselves to constantly look at specific things which make them more aroused. Or they've conditioned themselves to have a series of thoughts which make them more aroused. And really conditioning is, I think this thought, it makes me feel good, I'm going to keep doing it. And then it becomes a habit and you really like it and you can't stop. Your body becomes you become addicted to your body at that state. You like being aroused, and you don't want to give it up. And so a lot of people are like that. And so, like, where was I going with this? How do I control the energies? That's it. If you change your reasons behind why you get an emotional reaction out of yourself, if you step away from those reasons and you recondition yourself, you get the choice to choose how you feel energetically. And it's hard. It's not easy, but it's possible with any energies that you feel. Good night, peeps. See ya. Good night, strip dreams. I'm slowly getting tired too. It's my sun's sign. My sun's sign is Leo. How do I know that? I have a friend who tells me everything about me. And awesome. Can you take psychedelics to help you with astral projection? Some might say yes. I personally think it does. It's not the best form or the best method to use because I don't actually experience like a full-on astral projection. I mean, except for one time. But yeah, that was something different, and you'll hear about that later on my channel. Ever done acid? I have. I did acid in Costa Rica. It was amazing. I loved it, and it's a very spiritual experience. Okay, I don't want you guys thinking that I'm just doing all this stuff just to have fun. I do it because I have a purpose in mind, and it's usually healing or doing something. But then I get to the point where I've healed myself, right? And then I have to deal with everyone else's stuff. Yeah, it starts off with me, and then my generational line, which I'm like, okay, I'll do your stuff too. Then anyone that comes into my mind, I'm having to deal with their stuff. Anyone. Um, Sometimes I'm okay with it because it's like, okay, I have to do it to be free and to be okay. But then it gets it gets it feels unnecessary after a certain point, and then I end up clearing myself, doing things to clear myself. Rapé, fire rituals, water rituals, breath work, and meditations where I stay fixed at a specific frequency to constantly feel a certain way so that I'm not channeling for hours on end, which is something I've only recently realized I can do. Hey, you definitely brought some healing to me tonight, and I appreciate you always. Thanks. I have a video on deja vu, I think. 4K lawless. I like your thumbnail. How can you read someone's mind? So it's not so much reading, it's more so a channeling of their consciousness. Your thoughts just aren't in your head, they're in your field. You're a walking brain that looks invisible. And when you come in contact with someone else's field, you're sharing brains. When you're able to turn on your receptors in the body, you turn on the receiving aspect of your pineal gland and everything else in here, you can receive their signals. And if you know how to make it naturally by itself turn into something else in your mind, you can like run a program, just let it come in. And the program is, hey, take their energy, make it come up and express itself in a certain type of way. Run that program, you get all their thoughts. Do that enough times, you're conditioning yourself to do that a lot. And your brain will change to facilitate this, the new way of channeling. And it can become too much. You can also decondition yourself from doing it. So you can just stop doing it and set the intention for it never to happen again. Then your brain will start to deconstruct the pathways which help you become telepathic. Why are you now answering me? Because you're putting like 10 comments that were the same. So it's very easy to see it. Are twin flames a thing? Yes, they are. I have a video on twin flames. It's called Why Your Exes Aren't Soulmates. Okay. I know aliens do it for you. Oh, what they do? I'm gonna scroll up to see the rest of that question. I find I can read others' intentions rather than their minds. Okay, so what you're doing is you are technically reading their minds. If you look at their mind as, if you look at their mind as emotions, what it happened again? Every look at it like everything is mind because everything is energy, just in different forms. And so what we're used to associating as mind is the collapsed version of the subconscious, which is articulated form of emotion. Yeah. And so when you're reading intention, intention is an emotion. So you're reading that side of their mind because you're more able to resonate with that aspect of their field. It's easier for you to tune into that because you're connected to it in other people. You know, you're able to receive that aspect of frequency much more than the other aspects of the mind. And so you can take mind and kind of scatter it like light, and you'll see loads of different rays. It's all light, just different rays, and you're more into like the yellow ray. And so that's not actually a thing. Like the one you're in, the intention probably isn't yellow, but for example's sake. And so you can expand that if you want. Right. I'm gonna go. I'm getting really tired. You can probably see I'm getting kind of. I was gonna live stream on Instagram and let everyone know I'm over here too. You know, get their questions in, but I think I'm done. I think I'm done. Let's read the signing out questions. Signing out comments. Arigato. Okay, goodbye. Awesome. Thanks, bro. Aliens can turn mind reading on and off for you. Yeah, they can. Good chat. Awesome. Thanks. Oh, yeah. Right now, I was telling a friend, check out your channel. Thanks. That's cool. Yeah, that's cool. Maybe get some rest. Oh, me too. This right here is infused tea. You take a whole bunch of tea bags, the whole box, put hot water into a jar with the tea bags, all of them. Let it sit for about 8 to 9 hours. Normally, that much tea is a lot anyway, but when you let it sit for 8 to 9 hours, it pulls out all the nutrients out of the tea. If you live like that, if you drink teas like that, your body's getting overdosed with nutrients, like all the B vitamins and stuff like that. Apparently, the body runs much better on stuff like that. I've only been doing it for like better part of a week, but I'm feeling pretty sick. I'm not kidding. Feeling pretty good. Is that too good? I do know how to use tarot cards. Cool. Peace. You guys are awesome.